Hi guys, welcome to my journey. Now before we get started on the presentation, I wanted to run through two reasons why I think it's pertinent for you to listen to my journey. Now the first one is that I'm not one of those people that talk the talk. I'm happy to walk the walk. And the second reason I want to share my journey with you is based on my flying time in the military. I was a flying instructor, and part of our technique that we were taught was that if a student walked out to a helicopter and they were concerned about how they were going to hover that aircraft, we'd teach them a maneuver by showing them first. So they'd get in next to us and they'd get to feel the controls and actually feel what it was like to fly an aircraft. So that then gave them the confidence and the ability to know that they could achieve what someone else was achieving. So what I want to do is bring across that military training to this presentation and do exactly that and share my journey with you so that you have a great understanding that it is very achievable to do these things. So let's get started. So as I alluded to before, I'm an ex-Army pilot and I'm used to achieving outstanding results. On my pilot training, I went through Tamworth, where I achieved one of the highest awards there for flying. And then in Canberra on our helicopter conversion course, I also achieved the Dux Award for my flying training there. I've helped hundreds of defence personnel over the past 10 years achieve financial success. So this is not something that I started only just yesterday. And I started out just like you. So I was in the military, earning my money as a PAYG salary. And I was looking to the future, wondering what was I going to do and how was I going to achieve the results that I wanted to achieve, but I didn't really have a plan or an understanding of how to do that. So what I did is I generated the 5 steps plan and I've applied that to my life. And what I'm going to share with you through this presentation is the outstanding results I've achieved by applying that plan. So here's what you'll learn from the presentation. That financial freedom is not just a dream. It can be reality. For me, it was just a dream when I was in the military, but now it's actually a reality, and it can be the same for you. By following the 5 steps guide, you can achieve financial success. So rather than having the muddy water in front of you, I've tried to make it really simple and create a guide that will highlight the key things that you need to do to achieve financial success. And that time in the market is one of the keys to success, and procrastination increases risk level. So I'll cover that a little bit more, but timing of a market is not as important as time in the market. And I'll also then go through how I achieve financial success for myself. So I'll have a look at the exact figures and what I purchased and when. Here's why we are different. So I'm not going to stand here and preach to you about location. Location is extremely important, and we have some very strict criteria that we use in terms of finding the right location, but I'm not going to stand here and say that I know the exact answer to what you should buy. We tend to tailor the location and the product around you, the individual. We're not looking for overnight success either. This is very much a long-term strategy. So please don't have the attitude that this will happen, in a year or 2 years. We're looking at a retirement type strategy here. And we're also a licensed real estate agency, so we are licensed to act for you. And we're not pretending that this is going to be easy either. It does take a lot of commitment and a lot of time, and it can put a lot of people well outside their comfort zone. Based on that comfort zone, is this for you? If you want to retire comfortably and not be, as the slide says there, 81% of the Australians that run out of money before they die, then this is for you. If you want to be free to choose and travel and enjoy your retirement, which I certainly can now and I'm looking forward to, then this is definitely for you. And if you want to avoid going on a government pension, which I know from people around me and close family that are on government pensions, it's not great. So if you don't want to be on that pension, then this is definitely for you. And if you want to achieve financial success in life, then this is for you. Okay, a few house rules, and I alluded to this a little bit before. This is a long-term strategy. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. But what we want to do is build a solid foundation for a really nice and successful retirement. No procrastinating or waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time will never exist. I can assure you that if in my time, on my journey, there was GFCs, there was, interest rate increases. I could have found a million reasons why I should not enter the property market. So try not to let procrastination get in the way of developing this plan. And know watching a housing market on a daily basis. Let's not get too wrapped up in, what the doomsdayers are saying, or on the other end of the scale, what the happy people of the world are saying is, property is going to boom and then it's going to drop. Just let property do its thing and don't get too emotionally taken on that ride with Channel 9, 7 and 10. Okay, this didn't come easy for me. I didn't have someone to show me. I didn't have a 5 steps guide. I've had to develop that. As it says here, I also invested over $100,000 in my education. I did a Bachelor of Engineering at Sydney Uni. I did a Masters of Business, which specialised in finance at Uni of New South Wales. I then did a financial diploma to get myself my financial planning licence. And I've also done a finance credit licence. So there was a lot of time, and probably about 16 years and about $100,000 worth of education that went into where I am today. And as the slide says, I had to make mistakes along the way. And when we go into my journey, I'll highlight one of them. But yeah, there's many mistakes that you do make on the way that hopefully I can avoid you making. Okay, so let's get into it now. So we're going to go through the 5 steps, and what I'm going to do is highlight how I applied them so that you can see how it worked for me. So the key wealth builder number 1, or step number 1, is take action. So time is the biggest enemy. Invest as early as you can. So in here, I was 26 years old when I bought my first property. The year was 2000, so we're talking 18 years ago that I purchased that. And I bought 2 more investment properties in the next 4 years. So I basically bought early and tried to use time in my advantage to hold them as long as I could. Key wealth builder number 2, home ownership. Buy your home last and not first. Mortgage repayments kill wealth creation. So I use this to my advantage by not entering into a mortgage at an early age. So I rented all my military career and then I kept renting post-discharge. So even though I'd left the military and all those benefits that I had, I still rented on the open market rather than committing to a mortgage. So I bought my first home to live in at age 44. So I spent all the time prior to that using the extra funds I had to build an investment portfolio. Key wealth builder number 3, risk management, and this is a big one. Don't roll the dice with your investment. This is a long-term strategy, so we need to minimize the risks as much as we can. I entered the market early. So as I said before, I was 26 years old. Time in the market is probably one of the big risk mitigators that you can take out. If you're a lot older and you're needing to make money in a quicker time frame, then that introduces a high risk. So the earlier you enter, the lower the risk level. I always bought in blue chip areas to reduce vacancy rates as well. So one of the key things I look for is where there's a lot of rentals available, we don't want to go. So we want to go where there's mums and dads buying and basically there's a low rental vacancy in that area. That does mean we have to go blue chip. And have a great insurance policy. Make sure, spend the $1,000 a year and get yourself a good landlord and building protection policy so that if leases are broken or damage is done to your house, you have the option then of making claims and you're not losing any funds or money out of that. The key wealth builder number 4, be careful who you listen to. Ensure that the advice comes from someone who's experienced, and I don't mean experienced as in necessarily has the education, but someone who's actually done it, someone who's achieved success. So I've put in here just a bit of a funny one. If I took advice from my mother, who currently is actually on the pension, then I would never have borrowed $1. She was very much all about make sure you don't borrow money and make sure you use cash. If I did that, I wouldn't be here where I am today. I listened to friends and lecturers who had experienced success in the past. So I surrounded myself with people who had invested or who had done successful things and who had that successful mindset. And that certainly helped me. So what I'm saying is it doesn't necessarily mean don't listen to your family, but just be careful as the advice that you're taking. Key wealth builder number 5, apply the rule of 3. I believe that one property is not actually enough for retirement. and that the actual minimum that you probably require is 3. So I bought 3 properties in my first 4 years of investing. And I would have committed to further purchases had I not opened this company here. One of the concerns I have is that if you purchase one property, you actually build enough of an asset base that precludes you from actually getting a full pension, so you may end up on a part pension, but you can't actually then get enough income out of that asset. So what we are trying to do by the 3 property rule is ensure that you have enough assets that then gives you the retirement income that you need. Okay, so now I'm going to run through quickly the 3 properties I purchased, the prices I paid, and what they're worth in today's dollars. So 4 Tibrogargan Place on the Sunshine Coast. There's some beautiful photos there of my lovely first investment that I purchased. So this was purchased in 2000. The land was $85,000 back then. The construction of the home was $180,000. So the total cost to me at that time was $265,000. And I know in today's money, that seems a rather small amount for a house and land package, but I can assure you back in the year 2000, when I was 26 years old, $265,000 felt like a lot of money. It probably felt like about $500,000 today. The second property I purchased was a unit, and I alluded to in the presentation earlier one of the mistakes I made. You'll see on the value on how this has grown over this 18-year period. Units aren't probably my favoured asset, but I purchased one in Melbourne in 2003. The total cost of the unit was $409,000. There's some beautiful photos there. It was a lovely unit in Port Melbourne, right next to the Yarra, walking distance to Crown Casino and all those, so in a very good spot. 17 Ragamuffin Drive on the Gold Coast was my third property that I purchased in 2004. Land, as you can see, was getting up then. It was $218,000, construction $288,000, so the total cost was $506,000. And there's some nice photos there of that place under construction as well. So let's have a look at the profit. So here's the property. So I bought 4 Tibrogargan in 2000 for $265,000. The net worth today is $660,000. The unit, as I said, hasn't really grown as you would like. Even though it was in a prime location in Melbourne, it hasn't really got the growth that I would expect. And a lot of that is attributed to the land factor. Because a unit doesn't have any land component, that's where there tends to be a lack of growth. And then in 2004, the third property for $506,000 is now worth around the $650,000 mark. So the total profit there over that time period is $670,000. Now what I've done is done a very rudimentary capital gains tax calculation there as well. So I would have, in today's money, I've got over $500,000 in my hand in cash. So in summary, it took me 18 years to achieve the results that I've just showed you. I started at age 26 and owned my own home at age 44. Imagine if I'd started 5 years earlier at age 21, which I wish I had. I would own my own home at age 39. Now, most people, what they tend to do is buy their own home at, say, age 25, enter into a 30-year mortgage. So that means they're not actually going to have home ownership achieved until age 55, which is fairly common in our society. And then they have about a 10-year period left in the workforce where they start to worry about how they're going to retire and what funds they're going to retire with. So our aim is to get home ownership as soon as we can through our investing. And then obviously we can then got a lot more time to build wealth for our retirement. Thanks for joining me on my journey, and I hope you got something out of it. And now that you've seen one, hopefully it makes it easier for you to achieve one. Thank you.